Okay, guys. Everybody will be full. The only guy that'll be limited will be Kobe Durant. See how he's feeling with his stinger that he sustained going back to the Green Bay game, and he'll be questionable for the game. Everybody else should be good to go, and the DNPs will just be veteran rest days.
So do you feel like, is this the healthiest
Yes.
have been since the beginning of the season?
No question. Yeah, it is. And that's a good thing, Gary, because a lot of these guys that we're getting back, when you watch, and especially when you have a chance to really be able to digest the first 9 weeks of the season, it's good to be able to get a lot of these players back feeling good. Ernest Jones, Bobby Brown, Rob Havenstein, Matthew Stafford. I think it's really been good for some guys that have played a really physical presence to have a week to get refreshed and rejuvenated, like Puka Nacua. I think another week for Cooper and just some of those different types of things. But there's a lot of guys that stand out that you're feeling like, hey, they're feeling good. And we'll certainly be excited when we get Kyron back after this week as well. But it is probably as healthy as we've been since the start of the season, without a doubt.
Matthew said to us he's going to be practicing fully all week, and obviously he is big sun injured. How's he looked throwing the ball?
He's looked really good. He'd be better equipped to tell you. Like I had said earlier, Jordan, I haven't really noticed anything. I mean, he's thrown it, like the really special, talented player that we know. He's had a great energy. He's led great throughout the course of the week, and looking forward to finishing this week off the right way. And then, let's let that lead into a good performance for our group on Sunday.
Will he wear he had like a soft bracer on his thumb in practice. Will he wear that during the game?
I think so, something like that. And, there's ways that you can adjust it that don't necessarily. The answer is yes. And I think, how much it restricts or anything like that, that would be something that he'd be able to tell you, but I certainly haven't noticed. And it's got some flexibility, and it's not quite like a firm brace that restricts, as much as you would think. But I would think so, yes.
And what is its function, like compression?
I think it's just to be able to stabilize it so that it doesn't move past certain thresholds because of what that, ulnar collateral ligament is responsible for doing. UCL there.
Acknowledging that the league evolves, defenses evolve, and all that stuff. But when you go through the off week and self-evaluate,
yeah.
Do you ever come to a point where you say, let's just get back? I don't even know if you can go back. But
sure.
Let's just get back to what was success. What we built this thing.
Yeah, well, I think you look at it in the 9 games. I mean, I could give you such a long answer about where I think there's been a really good amount of positive things, and there's reasons. And the challenging thing is it's not exclusive to one thing. To where I know we're capable of playing at a consistently higher level, whether that's our overall execution, whether that's schematic driven, whether that's playing with some guys that we haven't really been able to or that we are playing with because we're missing guys from injury, but. What I draw confidence from is real tangible evidence of good quality football, and then it's how consistently can we put that together, and then what does that look like on a week-to-week basis for our players, and then how we best reflect it in terms of defending the opponent or attacking the opponent. And so I think that the answer is you always want to be able to have a foundation that you can really be able to build on. But this league is ever evolving, whether you're talking about it from an offensive standpoint and what defenses are doing and what's the best way to try to be able to attack that. And then on the flip side, how offenses have to attack the landscape of the league. But there is an element of an individual case by case, given the opponent and the personnel matchups and things of that nature as well.
Sometimes when we walk into there last year, and a lot of guys were hurt, and a lot of guys getting treatment, things like that, be kind of quieter. When we walk in there every day this year, it's like alive.
Yeah.
And Aaron, and the veterans, like Aaron's having a great time with guys in there. Do you feel that, and what do you attribute that to?
Well, I do feel that. I think there's an appreciation. I think there's a perspective, and I think this is a group that you want to continue to take steps, but they truly are present. They know that this is a blessing to be able to do this game. we're not pleased with where we're at, and that's not a reflection of those guys being pleased with that. But I think they are genuinely understanding of we can play better and what that's looked like. And there's been enough examples in those first 9 games, and then some of those margins for error of recognizing those opportunities to play together, to be able to finish it. Those are the things that we talk about. But I just think it's a real tribute to the players first and foremost. It's about them. It's about their consistent approach. I love the leadership of this group. I think those guys, whether it's the Aarons, Ernest Jones, Jordan Fuller, you look at Matthew Cooper, Rob Havenstein, Habe, the guys that were voted captain, Ben Skoranek. But then in addition to this good amount of guys that are enjoying, continuing to learn how to really appreciate, let's play at a high level. And you're watching their maturation and they're gaining confidence as they're gaining experience. But they want to be able to achieve some different things. And they know the only way to do that is to be able to continue to go to work. And let's enjoy that. But let's have the right amount of urgency. And I really have been pleased with the coaches too. Because there's a lot of ways that you can allow some of the different things that haven't gone the way that we want to affect that consistent approach, and I haven't seen that at all. And I've been, really appreciative of that because it is a different dichotomy compared to what last year was, and you know that very well also.
Sean, how has Carson been this week, and is there a sense of security knowing there's another veteran backup behind Matthew?
Yeah, there is, Maria. He's done a really good job. I think his immediate, ability to be able to grasp a lot of different things has been really impressive. He's got a body of work and a resume that kind of speaks for itself. But I think the work that he and Zach Robinson have put in, I think you got to give a ton of credit to Zach and to Carson for being able to get him up to speed as quickly as possible. He's done a great job giving our defense a bunch of different great looks this week, simulating Geno Smith. He did a great job earlier in the week when we were, waiting to get Matthew back out on the field of executing some different things that we want to do this week and that have been kind of foundational parts, and we're really glad to be able to have him. And so the answer is yes.
Sean, do you see Hunter Long being part of the 48 on Sunday?
We're still working through those things right now, Stu, but it's good to be able to have him back. I've really appreciated, he's had a unique journey where some of it is just out of his control in regards to the way that some of these soft tissue injuries have ended up not allowing him to be able to be available and go compete the way that he did a great job throughout the offseason program. But Nick Caley does a great job with that group, Stu. It's been great to be able to have Hunter Long back, whether he's a part of that or not. I don't know that quite yet, but I do know that we expect him to be a contributor at some point this season, and glad to have him in our building.
Even
Couple more, guys.
when Kobe was able to play, you guys were kind of shuffling around your defensive backfield a little bit. If he can't go, what would be the plan there? Obviously, Keller and then
I think it'll be a combination of some different things. You got DK, you got Duke Shelley, Trey Tomlinson is a guy. We've seen some of our safeties play at a really high level, and so based on some different personnels and some different situations, that'll kind of how it'll unfold for you.
Hey, Coach, I'm Dan, by the way.
Hey, Dan.
Adam, nice to meet you, Coach.
Nice to meet you.
Obviously, Cooper yesterday said playing against Seattle is always some fun and excitement there. The energy jumps off the tape. You know Coach Carroll well. You know this team well. Is it kind of, not that you need the extra motivation, but a little bit more excitement knowing that you're going up against a guy like Coach Carroll who's just been so great in this league? Yeah, he has. The consistency, a lot of the core principles and values that they operate with are things that, I believe to be true too. And, that authentic enthusiasm and consistency that he brings and the way that he really pours into his players and his coaches and the way that shows up, the way that they compete in all 3 phases, it's really impressive. And I think you want to be consistent week in and week out, but the respect, the admiration that I have for him and for their group is definitely on display. And I think as a competitor, that's what you love. And we know it's going to be a great challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
Knowing what it takes to do the job that you guys do, are you surprised that he's still able to do that in his 70s and maintain that enthusiasm?
Yeah, what I'm impressed with is just the consistency over time, from him, from guys like, Coach Belichick, Mike Tomlin, Harbaugh, Coach Reed, the guys that have done it and are continuing to do it. That to me is super impressive. And they navigate through the different challenges that present themselves. But there's a steadiness, there's a commitment to their core values, but also a flexibility that I think is reflected in how they adjust, whether it be schematically or whether it be connecting, with the players, with kind of the way that the game is played now. But yes, I'm really impressed, and he is, and it's real too. That's the one thing. The way you watch him run around, and I think that that energy, that authentic energy rubs off on those guys, and we're hoping to have a little bit of that ourselves this week. All right. Thanks, guys.